Please introduce yourself.
I'm Janice, Janice Zhai. I'm a freshman at CC. Hoping to maybe I'm majoring in classics with like history and data concentration. That's very up in the air. I would probably just, in terms of like art, I'd probably describe myself as a mixed media artist. I'm primarily really interested in fashion design, and also I've been getting into video editing.
Nice, thanks, Janice. So let's talk about the pieces you submitted for RATROCK. Mixed media, this one. A lot of them were fashion-based. Just like walk me through the process for some of them.
Yeah. So I think for me, clothes are like a very, very formative experience in like my everyday life, because I feel like it's such an easy way to like showcase who you are without really saying much. And that's kind of why I've been like really into fashion design. And in terms of like, it's kind of weird though, because in terms of fashion design, I feel like I like making more experimental pieces. So things that people wouldn't necessarily wear day to day. So like for example, the swan was made out of like little like paper. They were actually made out of like my old ACT practice tests, because I figured that they'd be kind of like a good use because there was such a big stack of them. But yeah, like with this one, I really wanted to experiment with material that was more unconventional. So it was made out of paper, and I folded them into like little origami butterflies and little swans. And then the base that I used was actually just like old muslin from like this carpet that my mom had like stored in like storage closet. So I just got that out, and then the little spots of color on the dress were made out of makeup, or like use makeup swatches essentially. So I just really wanted to play with different types of media and see what worked best. And it was also kind of inspired by like, like She by Harry Styles. Oh. I like listened to that song and I was like, I feel like I could like envision like a dress for this. So that was kind of based off of that. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's crazy. Like I love Harry Styles so much. So I'm so glad you brought him into the conversation. Like I guess that kind of like shifts into the next question. What are your influences when you're making art? Like Harry Styles could be one of them, but just like walk me through that.
I feel like one of my biggest influences for making art are just like different forms of art. Like so for example, like with Harry Styles, I'll listen to his song and then I'll like envision what that looks like visually. And or like the same thing with like a film, and then I'll think about like how I want to like make some sort of like jacket out of like, I don't know, maybe like Fight Club or something like that. So it's definitely very, I kind of look at art kind of like interdisciplinarily. I don't know if that's a word, but like
it is now.
But I like to like I don't know, draw inspiration from other artists. Like I was reading this poem by like this poet on Poetry Foundation that's called Janice Zhai, and she wrote like a poem called Moonlight that was really amazing. And like I'm thinking of like maybe making some sort of multimedia project out of that. I don't know. I think just like sometimes my friends are also really big inspirations, because the friends that I have, like at least in Columbia right now, are also very like creatively driven. So a lot of the stuff that they make are like really inspiring and kind of like push me to make different things as well. Like one of my friends just came out with an album. I'll go stream it. It's called The Village by Faye Ender. And like a lot of like the lyrics that she uses are like, they like evoke a lot of imagery that I think would look really cool in a painting or a drawing or stuff like that. So my inspiration is like definitely like photography from like so many different things. Yeah.
That is such a good answer. Just like moving back to the swan and like how it was made out of ACT paper shreds, which I did not know. I was like, now I'm just very impressed. Was that your first time playing with the medium? And like, just like follow-up question to that. Do you experiment with different kinds of mediums a lot?
Yeah, so my high school art teacher was very big on using like unconventional materials, especially because I started really working with her more towards the time of quarantine, when like obviously people like were at home and didn't have that much access to like traditional like art materials. So she really encouraged me to like experiment with like different things I had laying around the house. Like I remember for one of the classes that I took with her, she inspired me to like basically, my dad has like a big collection of wine corks because he's obsessed with wine. So I made like a portrait out of like the wine corks that he had collected. And so because of that, I was just like really inspired to use my ACT practice notes, because like also it was like that time where I was like taking the ACT and I was like very, very stressed because of it. So I was like, there needs to be like some way that I can like release my stress. So I started like ripping them up after I was done with them, and then I realized I could like create stuff out of like the little shreds of paper, and I guess that's kind of how this one was born. Yeah.
Gotcha. So love that. Hate the ACTs.
Right?
Never want to take them again. Thank God you're in college.
Yeah.
Would paper be a medium that you would like to experiment with in the future?
Definitely. I think that like it's pretty delicate, so I don't know necessarily if I would want to do that with clothing. Mm-hmm. But I think that like just like maybe I'll make like a sculpture out of it one day, or even like I feel like it'd be like really cool to use it somehow in like a collage or something like that, you know?
Yeah. So this might be a dumb question, but was the swan meant to be blue?
Yeah. So initially I didn't really go back to high school for my last year until like the spring, and initially I wanted to like do this like big art project where I would have like my friends for the different pieces I made, which like I was able to do later in the spring. So I wanted to have like some of my friends just wear it, and like I would have them like photographed around like different places on campus, because I thought it'd be kind of like a cool way to like culminate my senior year and like culminate like my art journey in high school. So yeah, that's kind of the idea.
I love it. I don't know. This one was like one of the favorite pieces.
I'm glad, yeah.
That you submitted. Like I was just very impressed.
Yeah.
I was like, look at that. It reminded me of like Bjork.
Yeah,
like the swan dress.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this girl's got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I guess moving on from that, and this is moving into stalking territory.
Yeah.
I did stalk your Instagram, as I told you before this, so I want to bring that in. And I loved your video editing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you walk me through the process of making those and why you made those videos?
Yeah. I honestly started making them because I just saw a lot of these like really cool like edit Instagrams on Instagram. Like people will take like little like clips from different movies or different TV shows, or like even like parts of their own life, and like edit videos. And initially when I was like getting into it, it was like more focused on like the video clips themselves, if that makes sense. I wasn't really doing any like crazy editing or anything like that. But like as I sort of like progressed with that, I like got really interested in like rendering like the text and like figuring out different ways of it looking like visually interesting. So I would just like take like a lot of really random photos on my phone, and they're all live photos, so sometimes I just turn them into videos. And if some of them like kind of if there's like really, for example, like a big event, like I edited one for like golf ball, like the golf ball weekend, I thought would be like pretty cool to document that. I also edited one for NSOP that I thought would be kind of cool, because like I wanted to like do something in NSOP that would like kind of be like a marker for like, okay, this is like my college freshman orientation experience. So little experiences like that I really like to document, and then like play around with editing and stuff. And then inspiration from that basically just comes from like other Instagram accounts, or like I'll go on Pinterest a lot and like see like really cool text that I want to like emulate in my editing. So sometimes I'll also just like hear songs and be like, I feel like this would make a really cool video. So yeah, they're just like, it's like very, I don't know, there are a lot of different things. Yeah.
No, I love it. Like I feel like all those reasons are valid, but I'm seeing like this running theme of capturing a moment in your videos, but also in your fashion and like the other sketches that you submitted to us. Yeah. Is that something that you care about a lot, and is that your main theme as an artist?
Yeah, I definitely think that like capturing a moment is important, because I'm someone who really values like experiences, especially if they're like super formative. Like I feel like even though it was just a week, NSOP has like taught me like a lot about myself, because like I met like all these like really cool people that I like still like talk to. And it's weird because like I came into college expecting like, oh, the people that you meet on like your first day are not really gonna be like the people that you stay in touch with. But like that has like kind of like been the opposite case for me. I've like become like really close with them. And I think that like, I don't know, documenting those moments are like really cool, because I get to like look back at them and see like how much I've grown since then, like as a person and as an artist. Like I was looking at like one of the videos that I like edited last Thanksgiving, and wow, was it awful in comparison to like some of the stuff that I've like done now that I'm more proud of.
Gotcha. So you've been at Columbia for like what, 1 or 2 months? Yeah, like this is your first semester.
Yeah.
What do you think of the artistic community here on campus?
I think it's really great, and I think it's like something that like I really love about Columbia is that it gets like sort of fulfilled in the academic sense, but like also like outside, like both like within and like outside of campus. Like with RATROCK, for example, like it's like such a great community to be a part of, because everyone's like so creatively driven. You know, I'm taking an art from class, that's great, because everyone's like super passionate about talking about art. And we're also in New York City, so like it's the world's kind of our oyster in that sense, especially in terms of art, because there are just so many like museums, galleries, like little fashion houses like in Soho that like I walk by a lot. So I don't know, it's just like really great for like, I feel like it's like very stimulating in terms of creativity, and then like it provides a lot of different inspiration from a lot of different outlets.
Yeah. Do you have any recs for like Soho fashion houses?
They're like these little hole-in-the-wall stores. There's this one clothing store that's like right on the main street of Soho that's called Unconventional, and that's where I got like most of my jewelry. But like I was talking to a couple people who work there a little bit before I like moved in, and they were talking about like how they're launching their own fashion brand as well. I forget the name of it, but it's just like really cool that you meet like random people on the street who are like I don't know, like have their own like sort of like creative like have their own like creative backgrounds or pursuing it out of school.
I love that. And maybe just backtracking a little, because you are a part of RATROCK. Can you tell me how you came to RATROCK and why you decided to be a part of this team?
Yeah. Well, I kind of applied because I was sort of involved with like literary magazines throughout high school in terms of like I would like submit art and whatnot, and also like help out with that process. But my high school was super small, so we never really had like a magazine or some sort of publication that was specifically dedicated to art, so I definitely wanted to seek that out in college. And I remember like going by the RATROCK table during the club fair and just thinking that it was like super cool. So I just like submitted as like a featured artist and to be part of the staff. And like everyone in RATROCK is just amazing because everyone brings like something like new to the table, I feel like, in terms of like art. Like I learned like so much from like so many different people, because you get to do writing, but you also get to like do things like film and also like designing for the publication itself. So I think it's like like kind of like I said before, in the way that like I really like being inspired by a lot of different things creatively. I think like RATROCK is really great publication.
I love the hype. I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm just so touched right now. It's like a little meta thing.
Plugging RATROCK
within a RATROCK interview. I love it. Are you part of anything else on campus that's artistic?
Yeah, I'm also an illustrator for the Blue and White.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I kind of want to join more stuff like later on. Obviously, like I've only been here for like 1 or 2 months, so like I have time to do that. But
yeah, no, we're so glad to have you at RATROCK. A while ago, you were talking about a poem, Moonlight, was it?
Yeah.
And how you were kind of inspired by that.
Yeah.
Is that the project you're currently working on?
Yeah. So I was thinking about doing some sort of like multimedia work because I really want to combine. I feel like my video editing is like sort of like separate from a lot of the art that I create because it's kind of something that I just like do in my free time and don't really like. I just kind of like let it live on my Instagram and like don't really do anything with it. So I feel like it would be cool if I like combine that with like maybe another medium, maybe like I don't know how that would work with fashion design specifically, but like maybe like drawing or like painting or something like that. I'm also like really into like collage work. Like I submitted some like mixed media stuff, so I think it'd be kind of cool to like overlay like my mixed media work with like some of like the editing that I do. And I think like that poem just like has like a lot of like beautiful imagery in it that like I feel like I could work with like in both elements.
Okay. So I know I've gushed about your fashion like for the majority of this interview. Do you want to talk about your collages? Because I think they were great too.
I think like my collages, like I talked about earlier, how I'm inspired by a lot of like different music that's music and like art and poetry and whatnot. That's probably how they come about most. Like the one that I submitted was like very inspired by like melodrama, like the album by Lord. I know, very angsty, but like
to be friends.
absolutely. I don't know. I just feel like there's something about like the way that you experience a song that I feel like I can like picture in my head like what that looks like visually, kind of like I talked about before. But I think like collages are like a really good way to portray that because my ideas are so like cluttered sometimes that like I feel like having like one specific drawing for it doesn't necessarily encapsulate how I'm feeling, like how I experience a song or experience like a piece of poetry. So I feel like collage, you get to like really incorporate different elements into it, and it doesn't have to be like one thing or another. It can be like a bunch of different things, which is like great.
Yeah. No, I really love your collages. Like I get like so much chaos.
Yeah.
Like that's the energy I get from it. I'm just like, this is pretty cool.
Thank you.
Were there any like specific artists and artistic influences besides songs? Although I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. I I forget her last name, but there's like a specific like mixed media artist. Her name's like Joanna, and she creates like a lot of these really cool like collage figures. So she'll take like a portrait of like one of her friends, and then like maybe like a landscape or like the ocean, like mesh like them together so that like her body looks like the ocean or something like that, which I just think is really cool because it's almost like surrealist or like hyperrealist in some sense. And it's just like really eye-catching, so I definitely got inspiration from her. And also just like really random like Pinterest artists that I find. Like they do like a lot of like random collages that I think are super cool, where they'll like overlay text onto like people's like bodies, or like there's one that we actually looked at in my art home class where like he took like the anatomy of like someone and like meshed it on top of like a constellation, which is like really, really cool. Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing the vision.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you.
And I know it's a little too soon to ask because you are still a first year, but are you considering pursuing art after college?
Yeah, I mean, my dream for the longest time was to like be part of the fashion industry. So I think I definitely want to like still pursue that to some extent. I definitely want to like pursue something creative after college. Like I don't know what that is. I'm like 18, so I have a lot of time to decide. But yeah, I definitely want to like go into some sort of creative industry. I think like with editing as well, I've been like pretty interested in film, so I'm hoping to take like a couple like film and media classes here just to like see if that's something I would be interested in the future. But apart from that, I don't know.
Gotcha. Like it's all up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool that you're thinking about art. So yeah. Let me think. I ask this in every interview, and it's like the weirdest question. But it's like if you had all the money in the world, like everything, all the time, like nothing, no lit-hum midterms, like we're all cool. What would you want to do with that money, like in terms of an artistic project? What would you want to make?
Oh, that's so interesting. I feel like I would. The first thing that comes to mind is like a fashion collection. Because I feel like that'd be really cool. A lot of the like fashion designers like that I'm really interested in have been represent like Kim Shui and like Glazo and Guapei have been sort of like merging like their Asian identity with like Western elements. So they like sort of modernize a lot of like traditional Chinese wear and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. So they like I think one of them actually like has like a whole campaign because of the anti-Asian violence that kind of came about during COVID, which I think is really great. So hopefully, if I were to have like that much money to be like budgeted, I would love to like create a fashion collection that would like bring awareness to something. So like kind of like do good with art in that sense. Because I feel like that's like such a powerful like tool and like mechanism to like bring awareness to something. You know.
No, I love that you brought the Asian identity into that. Is that something you would like to explore in your other projects? Like, not in just like imaginary thing, but like...
no, definitely. Because my grandmother is actually like, she is very into making like tea polish for like traditional Chinese wear. Yeah. So she's actually the one who taught me how to make them. And so she has like a bunch of friends who like are her neighbors who like are really into like traditional Chinese like painting and stuff like that. So I would like love to like learn under them because I feel like there's like such beauty in that, and I feel like that could be like translated into like other mediums of art as well. Like I really love like seeing like Chinese paintings on like clothes and stuff like that, or like seeing that overlaid on top of like videos. I don't know. I just feel like having those kinds of skills like will like first of all like get me more in touch with my own heritage and my culture. But I feel like it just like would look amazing as well.
It just looks really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's crazy that your grandma makes cheap hats.
I know.
Because that's like, it's a dying art.
Literally.
Yeah. Like, okay, so in the family, are you the main artist? Or like, how supportive are they of your art?
My family is pretty supportive. I like to joke that my entire like the guy side of my family all have like unfulfilled artistic passions because like my my grandfather is really into like writing Chinese poetry. I'm pretty sure my dad really wants to be an architect because he like literally like we go like building gazing all the time at Hong Kong and stuff, and he's just like obsessed with like architecture. And my brother is like very much into film. Like all my film recommendations I get from him. So I feel like in another life he could have been like a film major. But I don't know. There's definitely like little spurts of art within my family, but I would say that I'm probably the only one that's like trying to like pursue that as like an actual like maybe major or like career.
I love that. I love how it's just like the male side of the family. So yeah, like they're all like, we have dreams, but also no, I love that. That is, I don't know, because like I feel that I have that in my own family as well, which is why I brought it up. Yeah. So I guess like this interview is winding to a close, and your answers have been 10 out of 10.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah. But for the sake of this interview, where can people find your art?
Honestly, if you want to find my like editing, that's mainly on my Instagram. I also have like a small like art Instagram called like Janice Zhai. I probably should change the name.
It's so good.
Because I just like post like a lot of stuff that I create if I don't want to post on my main account. I'm looking to maybe create a website for my stuff so that it's more my portfolio is more centralized. But yeah, that's probably the main sources. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what, Janice, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is great.